I'm Marty Funk. I'm here with Kate Thorpe, who is iMom's host for the iMom's 2012 iMedia Summit. I'd love to get your perspective in terms of what you're seeing as some of the big disruptors this year and really what marketers and brands should be thinking about when marketing to moms. What are some of the interesting tidbits that you've seen so far?
Well, I've seen a number of things. I think Trisha Nichols had a great presentation from The Gap. And she showed, took it kind of to another level versus do step 1, 2, and 3. Instead of just applying it as a target, it was more of applying it to kind of the mission of the campaign and having that value set up at front in the messages versus here's a coupon and go do something with it. The other one came on the research side.
Yeah.
And I think Baby Center's annual Media Moms report was fantastic. And Microsoft in one of the small groups also presented some dad research. And it was really interesting, and the women were starting to laugh because theirs was a perception study, whereas Baby Center was a point of purchase and point of sale.
Sure.
And so women were buying everything, but when you went to the Microsoft one, men had a perception of like 85% influence to CPG of all categories, right? The view would be that the mom in this relationship would be the shopper, which she was, but their perception and I'm not saying not reality, that they're not doing this, is that they're having valuable conversations about these products. And the purchaser, at the end of the day, of course, as the research showed, was the mom. So it was really interesting. It was like kind of an aha, and people in the audience were trying to like digest that whole bit. And the dads in the room were very, agreeable to that study as well.
It's my understanding that there's actually not been a lot of research or attention done to this new reality, I believe is what Stacey Elliott called it in the Microsoft research, where the man is equally as involved in the parenting decisions and the more conventional households. Would you agree that it's a relatively underserved and overlooked target for a lot of marketers in parenting?
I would say so, absolutely. Even during Celeste's amazing presentation, one gentleman stood up and said, "I'm a dad and I've not seen this campaign, but I would love my kids to be involved in polar bears and saving them, and that this would mean a lot." And I think there's a family target. And I think that a lot of times it's sometimes easier to pluck off one. And I think that this family unit is indeed an interesting purchasing power. And so since we're at a marketing conference, I mean, that's what we're here talking about. And I think it is, I think there is a place for it. I think in the same way that when we have other campaigns that want to target women, and then do they take it the step further and target moms? When you're actually targeting moms, do you take it a step further and bring in the father purchasers as well?
Great. Well, just one more question for you. You've had the pleasure of working with a number of the world's leading brands across the facet of your career. What are maybe 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you can give sort of looking ahead brands, just different ways to be thinking about marketing strategy as we sort of go into this next era and as digital and social, mobile, we've heard a lot. What are some opportunities that you see that forward-looking brands should be really thinking about?
Well, I think the ones that everybody's been impressed with and the things that we've seen done, when we look back on them, it's very easy to say, oh, that was brilliant and that was great. But really if you look at what they were doing, they were doing. So first and foremost is do. And then the second is be prepared to iterate. So there's no 100%, and at the pace with which we're getting new devices, new opportunities, channels, platforms, etc., one must be prepared to accept that everything is a start. And then it's a continuation. And so I'd say my biggest advice is 1, do, and 2, be prepared to do again and again and again.
Great. Well, Kate, again, thank you so much for being here, hosting this show. You've been an absolute joy. Thanks so much.